Courtney Val, and I am the Fleming College Social Media Officer, and I also have the honor of being your MC and moderator for today's event. Now, first off, I just wanted to say I hope everybody had a great Family Day weekend and you're able to get outside and enjoy the benefits of the outdoors. That's always important, especially with exams approaching too for our current students. So before we begin today, I would like to invite Indigenous Knowledge Leader Liz Stone for the land acknowledgement. So Liz, over to you.
Miigwech, bonjour, Niman Mijikan Kwe Dijnakas, Mijikan Dodem, Anishinaabe Kwe Meanwhile Lene Lalape and Down. So hi, my name is Liz, and today we'd like to acknowledge that the land that Fleming College is on is the traditional territory of the Michi-Sageg Anishinaabe, people of the North Shore of Lake Ontario and its tributaries. Fleming College campuses are located here and covered, this territory is covered by 18 treaties that the Michi-Sageg Anishinaabe participated in from 1781 to 1923. So Fleming has settled on this land and recognizes that the region is now home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island and the importance of respecting the voices and history of Indigenous communities. We're grateful to work on this land and will continue to build authentic and reciprocal relationships with the Indigenous people. Miigwech.
Thank you, Liz. And just before we get started as well, I'm just going to go through a few housekeeping items. So just keep in mind during today's town hall, we will be responding to your questions, both the ones you sent in advance through our social media channels and the ones being asked live today. Now, we know that you have a lot of questions and we might not be able to answer all of them. And for the ones who are unable to attend our live event today, we will be recording today's session and posting it on our website. You can also view the video on our Facebook page and YouTube channel at any time as well. So lots of options for you. Now, we would like you to participate in the town hall. So to do so, if you'd like to submit a question, you can leave your question in the comment section, both again on our Facebook page live stream and YouTube channel live stream. And we also have some great Fleming College employees monitoring the chat so they can assist you in answering some of those questions as well. And just a reminder too, auto closed captioning is on today for the live event. So now I would like to introduce our panelists for today. So when I call on you, if you could just give a little wave, that would be great. So first off, we'll start with Fleming College President Maureen Adamson.
Great.
Next, we'll go to Executive Vice President of Academics and Student Experience, Sandra Dupre. And now we'll go over to Executive Vice President of Finance and Administrative Services, Drew Van Perries.
Good afternoon.
And we'll go over to Vice President of Buildings, Facilities, and Safety, Terry Williams. And Indigenous Knowledge Leader, Liz Stone.
Honey.
And now we'll go over to International Student Recruitment Officer, Zamir Rizvi. And I'd also like to introduce Student Administrative Council President, Alana Kennedy, as well as our Frost Student Association President, Adam Folent.
Happy to be here.
All right, and now I would like to invite President Maureen Adamson for opening remarks.
Great, thanks, Courtney. And thanks everybody for coming out for this town hall. I can only imagine how tough this has been the last 2 years. I remember March 2021, when the thought of closing down things for a couple of weeks was difficult. And here, 2 years later, you guys have been agile and that old used word of pivoting all over the place. And we're really proud of you. And we've watched you and we've watched you remain strong and we've watched you remain as a cohesive student body at all campuses. So I just want to tell you how grateful I am. We think we do a lot of work to attract great students and it's clear that that work has paid off because we have really great students. So thank you. Now that, you know, things are changing again, it looks like for a more sustainable period of time with the government guidelines that have been discussed, we're really hoping to get as many people back to in-person class as possible. We tried to make sure every decision that we made was based on safety and safety first, safety for you, safety for faculty. But we are really, really hoping to get as many folks back in person in spring. And we're going to start to think about that next month and how best to do it. We originally were hoping for the winter session to have a lot more people back in person, but then our friend Omicron came along and proved to be able to change things yet again. So that's the plan. There's been lots of things going on behind the scenes while you've been working hard at your studies. And, you know, the vaccine policy is something of interest to everyone. We've tried to be safe in its application. As a collection of colleges last week, every college decided to keep the vaccine policies that colleges had in place until the end of the winter semester. And after which time we'll take a look at what works best for Fleming College. But that was a college-wide decision, not a specific college decision, and again, based on safety. And I think because we've been hit behind the back of the head so many times with new variants that people are just, you know, cautiously optimistic, but we're really keeping a close eye on that, and we'll keep you informed. I think the other thing I want to share with you is that you've all heard the results of the faculty bargaining process, where they have voted to, well, they were in a strike position and they voted not to accept the offer. We, again, will keep a very, very close eye on how that will manifest itself. To date, I want to say that I think the faculty have been very fair and supportive of students as best they can. And I'm confident that that will continue. If for any reason there's a hiatus or something that would affect you directly, we will make sure that we do everything, whether it's you know, late boot camps or whatever it takes, so that you are not adversely affected in your studies, and particularly for those of you graduating. And that's I can see Sandra Dupre nodding here. You are our priority. We want you to be successful because you are Fleming. So I just wanted to raise those two things with you. There's lots of great things going on with Fleming as well. And we've got some applications into government we're working on for degree programs. As you know, there's been some micro-credential programs. We're taking a look at our continuing ed programs. There's a lot of things happening that we just didn't let the pandemic stop us. So stay tuned for lots more about that. We did consult with the student body to talk about how we might better reimagine our space. I think what we've decided with Vice President Williams and team here, that maybe we need to take another look at that, as things have changed over the last 2 years. And so we want to get more input from you as students, so you can tell us what you think will work. Things are changing as we speak, and some things will remain in person and some things may or may not need to remain in person. And we also want to get your views and opinions on that. So all to say, I'm very proud to serve you as your president. You guys are an awesome group of students, and we're very lucky and proud to have you. So I'll stop there, Courtney. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Maureen. And let's get to the questions. So we just want to thank everyone again for sending those ones in advance through our social media channels. And we had a number of questions come through regarding our student services. So one of them was, can you tell us what services are available for students, specifically touching on mental health supports available to students through this difficult time? So for that question, I'm going to go to Sandra Dupre.
Great. Thank you so much, Courtney. And thanks for the question. That's a great question that we do hear quite often. And I'm happy to say that the college does provide a full range of services for all of our students, from personal wellness, counseling, to accessible education services and counseling, to health services, to library and our learning supports, and career services as well. We also have very specialized service departments that support our Indigenous students, and also an international student service department to assist our international students who are either with us here in Canada or studying abroad at their homes. In addition to that, there's lots of extracurriculars that are happening. Many of them are happening virtually, but also with the loosening of some restrictions, we're starting to see more extracurriculars and ancillary services becoming available in person. So things like athletics and recreation, as well as our housing services, both on campus and off campus housing services. A little bit of food services that's slowly coming back to play on campus, but our bookstore has been fully open and available for all students. And we also have ways for students to become involved and to support each other, either through our mentor program or through becoming a student ambassador for the college. And all the services, as noted, Maureen mentioned that we've been online for longer than we had hoped. All those services were available online to students. And as we started opening up, students who needed some assistance in person were able to receive that support through an appointment. And we are looking forward to having more services return on site as campus starts to open up over the next few months with more face-to-face access. So regarding the mental health question, of course, we understand that the pandemic has had a very large impact on our students and their mental health. Our student services, including our health services and our counseling services and our peer mentors, have heard from students daily that they're struggling, that they're feeling lonely, and they're feeling disconnected from others. And through student services, we've been looking for ways to try to connect students with each other and to provide them with the supports that they need, and also working with some of our external partners. So, for example, we'll be continuing our mental health workshops with CMHA. And those workshops based on student feedback have been very successful, and we're adding 2 new sessions this winter, one on substance abuse and one on recognition and response and grief and loss. So certainly those sessions have been well received with upwards of 70 participants. We also have our our autism spectrum disorders, or ASD club, that's taking place. That club has been working virtually or meeting virtually, but they are starting to return to in-person meetings, which is a great outlet for students. And we have a student development specialist, so Sarah Rimani, and she is located primarily in residence to support students who are living in residence, who may need some additional support around just living in residence for the first time and some of the challenges that take place there. So helping them develop there. And I mentioned our peer mentors. They're regularly, you may see in your emails. If you check your email, we do send a lot of updates around the activities that are happening through student experience. And our peer mentors have been very active in trying to host events to engage our students. And, I would say that, we have Alana and Adam here, and that the student associations have been very engaged and very active in trying to connect with students in what can sometimes be very challenging in this virtual setting. But both of the associations are here and available for students to connect with and to hear their feedback as well. So there's a number of other things happening, but I think, Courtney, I'll leave it at that and just remind all students that, as always, to check the portal, check the website, and to also look at the supports that are available on your D2L page.
All right, thank you very much, Sandra. And I just would like to take a moment to remind everyone joining us on the live today, whether it's through Facebook or YouTube, that you're welcome to drop some questions for us in the comments section. So we'll move on to our next question. We had one for international students specifically. So The question is, how many years do we get a postgraduate work permit as an international student? And by that, can you also touch on co-op work permits and what it means if I require this? So for this question, I'll go to Zamir.
Thank you, Courtney, and thank you to all the viewers who have joined us. So before I answer the question, I'll quickly explain in a couple of lines to all the students who are wondering what is the postgraduate work permit. So postgraduate work permit allows international students who have graduated from an approved Canadian post-secondary institution to stay in Canada after their studies and achieve valuable Canadian work experience. Work obtained using the postgraduate work program supports international students to then become a permanent resident of Canada. Now, according to a Government of Canada website, the international student may be eligible for anywhere from 8 months to a maximum of 3 years of work permit, depending upon the length of their studies. To give you an example, so if the student has completed 1 year of program in Canada, 1 year of studies, they will be eligible for 1 year of postgraduate work permit. And if they have completed 2 years or more than 2 years, then they will be eligible for the 3 years of work permit. If the student has taken 2 of the 1 year program, they are still eligible for the 3 years of work permit. This is, as Government of Canada said, this is for the students who have a plan to come to Canada to study, then work, and then obviously become a permanent resident of Canada. Now, coming to the co-op work permit, sometimes the students are confused between the two work permits. So I simply mentioned the postgraduate work permit is something you apply after you have finished your studies in Canada, whereas the co-op work permit is for international students who are required to complete their internships, field placement, co-op, or clinical placement as a part of their studies. And then the internship can be unpaid, or doesn't matter if it's on or off campus, the student must have a co-op work permit. If you want to find out if a program has a requirement of a co-op work permit, you can easily find this information through your offer letter package. So on the page 3, on the internship and placement section, you will see the co-op requirement and the number of hours. And then on the page 4 of the same offer letter package, you will see a letter provided by a college to support your co-op work permit application. International Student Services are here to assist you with the application process and answer any doubts. They organize regular immigration workshops and one-to-one immigration advising. That's pretty much, Courtney.
That's great, Samir. Thank you. And just another reminder, anyone joining us on the live town hall today, whether it's through Facebook or YouTube, you're welcome to drop your comments in the comment section on either platform. So moving on to the next question. What scholarships and bursaries are available for students? And can you get a scholarship or bursary for or towards a laptop or school supplies? So for this question, I'll go over to Drew.
Thanks, Courtney, and thanks for the question. Great question. The short answer is an enthusiastic yes. We have about $2 million every year that's available for scholarships and bursaries from various sources. Some are donor funded, some are funded through the college or government programs. There are many options, and frankly, it often goes unspent. So please, have a look at it. It does take some work on your part. Go to our website and just search scholarships and financial aid. It'll take you to the page. There's a range of options from a few $100s to over $2,000 available by program, by school. Some are academic based, some are needs based. So take some time and go through those. I would say also emergency funds are available too, but have some time to go through there. For a half hour's work, you could get yourself $500 or $1,000 or $2,000. That's a good investment of your time, and we can help you. There's about a month-long window to apply before each semester. Those funds are available. Excuse me. Those funds are available to you to use at your discretion. So sure, laptop, food, rent, that vintage hoodie you've been looking for, whatever you like. But do some research or email finaid@flemingcollege.ca. There's lots of money and options available. We encourage you to have a look at it, and we'll be glad to help you with that. So yes is the answer. Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you for the long and short of that answer, Drew. Okay, so we'll be moving on to a question maybe directed towards our student associations today. So this question is, how do you access the campus food bank? Who can access it, and maybe how many times you're able to access the food bank? So for this one, I'll go to Alana Kennedy, please.
Thank you, Courtney. So our campus food bank is for emergency only. Students can access a food bank by going to our website at flemingsac.ca and navigating to the emergency student food bank located under the SAC services tab. You'll need to fill out the form, and Fleming SAC will prepare items for you to come pick up. So this service is available to any full or part-time students at our Sutherland campus, and students are able to access this service 3 times a semester.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Alana. So for the next question, I will go to Liz Stone. So Liz, we had a question about who can self-identify as an Indigenous student and why should they self-identify?
Thank you much, Courtney. So that's a great question. I love this question. And whoever has Indigenous ancestry, whether that's First Nation status, non-status, Inuit, Métis, can all identify as Indigenous. One of the things that at Fleming that we do is identify that the Indigenous community is diverse. We all have a different experience from coast to coast to coast. We all identify differently, and we all have our own reasons for identifying. Why is it important to identify as Indigenous or self-declare your identity at Fleming? One, you should be proud of your ancestry. You should be proud of your heritage. You should be proud of all of those things. Unfortunately, with history, a lot of us don't start out with a whole lot of knowledge. So by identifying, you have access to all kinds of supports. You have access to Indigenous Student Services, which has weekly meetings as we're opening up a little bit more and more each week and each semester. Then those services and those support services are available face-to-face on campus. I know we started this week with 1 day a week on our campuses. They're also available via Zoom. You can meet with the student success coordinators. You can meet with visiting elders, both virtually and in person. So it's pretty neat that we've identified the Zoom is really great. We're really good at it. So making sure that we're not only are we acknowledging the diversity of our students, but we're also acknowledging the diversity of the services that we can offer. There's Indigenous healthcare consultations, there's advocacy, referrals. You can learn about those bursaries and grants as they pertain to Indigenous students. One of the things that's really neat about Indigenous Student Services is it helps you build a community. So oftentimes, especially when students are moving away from home, what we miss most is community. We miss being able to pick up the phone and ask our auntie if they have flour for us, or they can drop us off some groceries, or they can give us a ride to the laundromat or anything like that. So at Indigenous Student Services, what happens is you're assisted in building that community here while you're in Novo Joanna or Peterborough or Lindsay. And so we connect you with services, with people, with all kinds of things happening. There's also social events. So there's crafting workshops, there's fire keeping workshops. We have outdoor locations. This year we're putting up new teaching lodges, places to gather. We have fire pits for traditional use, as well as gathering on each of the campuses. So it's pretty exciting. And you get to meet not only the faculty or not only the student services staff, but also the faculty. Our services are open not only to Indigenous people, but there's also community supports that are for students that don't identify as Indigenous. So it's open and great service. So thanks for that question.
Of course, yes. So there's lots to look forward to. And I know that you're pretty active on your social accounts as well. So people can follow you on your Instagram account at ISS Fleming. So that's great. Thank you very much, Liz. So our next question, I will refer to Terry for this one. So the question, Terry, is with the recent announcement from Colleges Ontario around vaccine mandates staying in place for the remainder of the winter semester, is the college still considering mandating the booster shot, or will the college only mandate the booster shot if the province of Ontario deems it necessary?
Yeah, thanks, Courtney. Important question for sure. Just to pick up on what Maureen was mentioning earlier, things are continually changing in the province. And as always, as we have since March 2020, we're in regular and constant contact with our local public health units, and we have 2 of them that covers our college jurisdiction. We're also in contact with the provincial authorities about vaccines and screening and including boosters. So all that said, we'll continue to keep an ear to the ground and in constant contact with all of our partners, including the 3rd or subsequent doses of the vaccine, and whether or not that becomes a requirement. As of today, the booster is highly recommended, but not mandatory, and we will assess that as the next weeks and month comes forward. Thank you, Courtney.
Thank you, Terry. And just a reminder to everyone joining us on our live event today, whether through YouTube or Facebook, you're welcome to submit your questions in the comments section. So I actually will be going back to Liz Stone for this next question. So Liz, the question was, what is the Indigenous Perspectives designation? And if I'm not Indigenous, why should I take it?
Great question again. The Indigenous Perspective designation provides students who choose to access this optional learning with a more in-depth knowledge of Indigenous people in Canada. So that's their cultures, their histories, their traditions, their contributions to our shared Canada and shared society. So the programs, there's right now, I believe, 36 programs at Fleming that offer the Indigenous Perspective designation. And what that means is your program faculty and the Indigenous Perspectives faculty have worked together for upwards of a year to really work together and identify specific Indigenous content that should be taught in those programs. And it's not basic. It's not just kind of this is Liz and she's an Indigenous person. It's actually very vocational specific. So if we're talking about forestry, for example, then what are the pieces of legislation that pertain to Indigenous people as it relates to that program? So it's a pretty amazing program, the Indigenous Perspective Designation, or IPD. It's one of its first of its kind that I'm aware of, not only in the province, but across the northern part of Turtle Island here. It's something that students can put on their resume, and they can market themselves and get yourself a great job doing that and having that knowledge. Right now, the way times are, it's super important that we all work towards reconciliation, that we all work towards making sure we're current in our respective professions and fields. And that's where it is right now. If we were to look at what are the minimum skill requirements in those top paying jobs in Canada, identified in there is the ability to work respectfully and reciprocally with Indigenous communities. So we're making sure that our students are totally prepared for that, not just that they can do a land acknowledgement, but that they can really contribute to their future companies and sector on knowing more than that, knowing what is important, knowing what's relevant, and also so they feel confident in doing that as well. So again, it's totally optional for any student to work towards the Indigenous Perspective designation. It's something that's identified on your transcript. You're identified at graduation if you were successfully completed the Indigenous Perspective designation, as well as it comes up on your co-curricular record, and you get a great letter for your portfolio to put forward towards those future employees and to become a leader in your field. So great question. Miigwech.
Thank you, Liz. Another great opportunity for students for sure. So Sandra, I'm just going to go back to you for a moment. I know you touched on our student services and supports. Would you be able to go into a bit more detail, maybe around student trip opportunities? Because I know in the past, they've been able to possibly go to Blue Jays games and whatnot through different programming. So could you touch on that?
Sure, Courtney, I can, I'll speak to it from, sorry about that. I'll speak to it from the academic perspective, and then maybe I'll bounce it over to Alana and Adam to speak to it from the student association perspective, which tends to be a little less rigorous and a little more fun, maybe in some cases. But many of the schools have either field trips or field camps that are part of their curriculum. If there is a field trip or camp that's associated with your program, typically that's identified in advance. And there was a challenge, of course, over the last couple of years of trying to ensure that students were able to participate in those activities because of closures and limited access due to the pandemic. But again, as we see things start to open up and access to, whether it be provincial parks or museums, that students are now able to access those hands-on learning environments. And we hope that we'll be able to have many of those experiences return for students in the fall and the winter semester. As far as some of the more social events, like you mentioned, the Blue Jays game, those typically would be hosted through our student association. So maybe I'll ask Alana if she can start by speaking to some of the activities through SAC at the Peterborough campus, and then she can hand it over to Adam to speak to activities at our Frost and Haliburton campuses.
Of course, thank you, Sandra. So typically, yes, Fleming SAC does host Wonderland trips and Blue Jay Games trips during our spring semester. However, due to the pandemic, we haven't been able to offer that, and we're hoping we can start organizing those going forward with restrictions lifting, and we're looking forward to doing that. But we have, with the restrictions that have lifted, we have a lot going on, especially in the next couple of weeks. Tomorrow, as most of you probably know, is Pink Shirt Day, and our Steel Center Pub tomorrow will be giving away free pink shirts. March 1st, we have our Fat Tuesday pancake giveaway. And March 1st through 31st, we'll be doing a graduation diploma frame giveaway. March 4th is Pizza Day. So you come into our pub, you can purchase any beverage in our pub and receive 1 slice of pizza and a bag of chips. March 8th, our International Women's Day, we'll be doing an online Kahoot. March 17th, with St. Patty's Day, we're going to have a leprechaun lunch with a pot of gold, scavenger hunt. We'll have some green beer, some online Kahoot for everybody. We have Holly coming up as well on March 18th, and we will be having samosas at our bar. We also have our March 24th, Ontario's Got Talent at 7 p.m. will be an online live event, which will be hosted across many colleges as well. And those are just, we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. Adam?
Hi, yeah. So as far as excursion goes, we, as of this Friday, we are hosting our first for this semester off-campus bowling night. We saw between 30 and 60 students coming out throughout last semester. And so we hope to top that off this semester as we host one every single month. Students have a lot of fun bowling, meeting friends. There's great pizza and other activities to get involved with while there. If you haven't had a chance to sign up, you can check that out in your email. Additionally, we are also hosting a off-campus excursion this Saturday, where we'll be going into a polar ice dip in Scugog Lake for students that have never, dipped your toes. Well, it's time to jump right in. And again, our bus is getting full, but you can still feel free to join if you would like, by finding your own transportation or communicating with the person organizing it. As far as other events going on, we have our AGM on our annual general meeting on Thursday. In March, we're looking at running Holiday. We're looking at setting up our first official pub night for St. Patrick's Day. We have an entire week dedicated to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls that we'll be partnering with Indigenous Student Services on, as well as an entire week for Pride, where we'll be, again, having some opportunities to engage in some of those fun activities. As we get into April, we haven't quite planned that out yet, but if you are interested in getting involved, you can come down to the Ox Lodge. We're open every day. Talk to a bartender, talk to one of our board members, and see how you can make use of the rest of your time while you're here.
Thank you, Sandra, Adam, and Alana for that. Lots to look forward for current students and as well as future students and what activities they could possibly get involved in once they're here. So that's great to hear. Thank you for sharing that update. Now, Sandra, I will come back to you for her next question here. What are the living accommodation options available, being that we do have 3 campus locations? If you could touch on that for us.
Sure. Thanks, Courtney. So students at our Lindsay and our Peterborough campus, they do have some options. They have on-campus housing that's an option for them. And we are looking forward to welcoming more students into those facilities in the fall. We did have reduced capacity earlier on in the pandemic, and we did open it a bit more this past semester. But we think that with the decision to have more delivered online, we should see an increased demand for those facilities. So I would really encourage students, if you're thinking of living on campus, or if you have friends who are thinking of coming to Fleming, new students, that you would encourage them to quickly sign up for housing. If you're a student who doesn't want to live on campus, because we know some students would prefer to live in the communities where the campuses are located, and certainly in Halliburton, we have a number of students here who choose to live in the Halliburton community. We can assist students with those options. We do have an off-campus housing office that's available to support students. If you're looking for support in that area, you can go to our website, and if you look up Fleming College Student Experience / off-campus housing, you'll be able to find the support that you need there. Karen Hennessy is our housing community coordinator, and she would be more than happy to assist you. And if you're on that website, you can also take a look at the community guidebooks that we have available there. We have one for each of the communities where we have campuses. And the community guidebooks are a collaboration with the college as well as the municipality. And it's full of really great, useful, and rich information around the resources that are in the communities where our campuses reside. And that's often a really good place for students to start who are moving into one of these communities where they've not lived before.
Thank you, Sandra. Thank you so much for that. And just to add to your point as well, we do have an information session coming up on Friday around housing, so people can check that out as well. We've posted some information around that on our social accounts, so you can go check it out there. For our next one, I'll be going to Maureen. So Maureen, this question is, as the state of the pandemic continues to change, has Fleming thought of surveying prospective and returning students around their decision or plans on coming to campus versus staying home? And just kind of a second part to that, is there any thought on whether the college will consider having students complete their education online, or will it only be in person once the college reopens?
Thanks, Courtney. Great question, and one that we're working through. And before I answer that best I can, I want to just say to Alana and Adam, you make it sound like we're coming back. We're coming back. There's activities that you get me excited. So thank you for that. We have been looking at, what's worked, what hasn't worked throughout this last 2 years. Obviously, some hybrid learning has been highly effective, and so we want to continue with that where it makes sense. Some online learning has been highly effective, and we want to continue with that where it makes sense. And of course, there will always be those matters of in-person for those programs that are really, really hands-on. That would be really difficult not to have some kind of hands-on, if not all. So what we're doing right now is we're looking at program by program, what makes the most sense to be in person, what makes the most sense to be hybrid, or what makes the most sense to be online. As you know, and you would have heard, Trent students were in this last round, they wanted to be online. In the first round, they were upset to be online. So I think the tides are shifting, and we want to know what you're thinking. I think the question about will we do a survey, you know what, I think it's a great idea, and we need to think about how we do better at hearing from you guys more directly. But it's going to be program by program based, and we want to deliver the education that you want the way you want it. So that is at the anchor of everything that we're going to do in terms of programming. There are some practicalities, as I said, and we have to have, you know, faculty able to deliver in various ways. And there are some things that may be more challenging than others, but our goal is to deliver the way that is most effectively for you to learn and graduate through Fleming. So thank you for that outstanding question.
Thanks, Maureen. So maybe we can look forward to something moving forward on that. And Alana, I'll just go back to you for this one. We had a few questions around bus passes and how students can get those, and everything around bus passes. If you could take that one.
Thanks, Courtney. So all of our full-time students get an email invitation when the college completely registers them. This email has instructions on how to download the ID123 app, what you need to register for your bus pass. Then there is a 24-hour waiting period for approval. Once it's been approved, students will then be able to see their picture on the app, and they just show that to the bus driver when they get on the buses, and it's available for all the Peterborough bus transit system. So any bus going around anywhere in Peterborough, it's not just our Fleming buses that we have dedicated that go straight to Fleming. We have express buses. It's for the entire bus system. And then students can email Fleming at FlemingSAC at info@flemingsac.ca for assistance with this process if needed.
That's great. Thank you, Alana. And our next question was around job opportunities. So are there many part-time job opportunities in Peterborough or in Lindsay? So for this question, I'll refer to Sandra.
Great, thanks, Courtney. And that is a great and a very important question for the students for sure. So the college certainly has many great connections with local employers. We're a leader in the province when it comes to delivering employment services. And we have employers that we work with who are able to register their available jobs right through our career services electronic system. So students can log on through career services and see what job opportunities are there for them. We also have staff that are able to support the students. So, you know, if you want to have a conversation, maybe with one of our career service consultants, firstly, you can connect with them either through the web, so through video, through email, through phone call, or if you really need to have a face-to-face with one of our employment counselors, you can actually arrange to make an appointment, and they will meet you on campus to try and support you. The portal is accessible again through the web page, and it's really a great resource for the students and the employers as well, as they're able to post the opportunities. And not only employers outside of the college, but the college itself is a really great employer of students. We have students that work across all of our campuses, whether that be as a student mentor. I know we have some openings for student ambassadors, also in our libraries and our registrar's office and international student services. So there's many opportunities for students to have on-campus employment. whether you're a domestic or an international student. We really would look forward to having you work at the college so that you're not only learning from us, but you're also helping shape the college environment as well.
Thank you so much, Sandra. And I know you got a lot of questions asked today, but it's all about the student experience, right? Okay, so I just wanted to thank our panelists today. Thank you for answering our students' questions that came in through social media as well as through the live chat today. And I just want to thank everybody who joined us for the student town hall. And as we mentioned earlier, if we could not get to your questions, our student recruitment team is here to help. So they'd be happy to answer any of your questions at any time. You can email them at askus@flemingcollege.ca, or you can book a one-to-one advising appointment with them. And you can check out the comment section or chat. Someone's going to be popping some links in there and some more information to get in contact with us. So I hope that you found the student hall to be very helpful, and I hope everybody has a great afternoon. Thanks once again, and thank you again to our panelists.